Hey everybody, my name's Luke and I am the Education Coordinator at Hanford Mills Museum. And we're going to talk a little bit today about some really cool things that you can do with water. Water is a super important thing for us in our lives. We use it to drink, we use it to clean ourselves, we use it to brush our teeth, and we use it for some ways we might not always think about, like watering crops or feeding animals, a whole bunch of different things. But there's some really cool things that we can do with water, some experiments that we can do to see how water is really a special thing. So today what we're going to be is we're going to be a special kind of scientists. We're going to be something called hydroscientists. And hydroscientists, that word hydro, if you've ever heard it before, it means water. So like a fire hydrant, there's water that comes out of there. To stay hydrated means you drink water. If you're dehydrated, that means you don't have enough water. So that word hydro or hydrant means water. And scientist, so hydroscientist is a water scientist. So we're going to be looking at a couple of cool things we can do with water. See how water can form cool shapes and how water can even climb up against gravity. So we're going to get started. We're going to use a whole bunch of different materials that you have at home. If the things that I use here aren't exactly what you have at home, I'll tell you what you can use instead. So let's get started. All right, everybody, let's get started. So we have our materials with us here. We only need a few things. We've got our bowl of water. We have a coffee filter, which you can also use a paper towel for if you don't have a coffee filter. I have a washcloth or a towel, paper towel, whatever you've got, just because in case we spill and we can clean it up if we spill. And finally, we've got a washable marker. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to flatten out our coffee filter. It doesn't have to be as flat as a piece of paper, but doing our best like this. And then right in the middle, we're going to draw a circle. Like so. I want to be gentle because if you're using a coffee filter, it is going to bleed through. And if it gets too wet, it'll rip. So just very gently coloring it in like that. Okay. Now we'll be done for the marker, so we'll put that to the side. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it a couple times. So the first time, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it this way, like a taco. And then we're going to fold it this way, like a piece of pizza or pie, depending on what you're hungry for. So the next thing, now this is part of the experiment where we get to see how how water can defy gravity. So normally, gravity, things fall down. But water's special. Water really likes to cling to itself and climb. So we're going to see how it does with this and what it does to the marker, the colored marker. So let's bring this a little bit closer to the camera, and we're just going to very briefly dunk our water in, or our piece of paper in, for just a second. So about this long. So ready, and only about the green tip. Go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this flat for a second and let the water travel. So remember, we only touched just a little tip of that into the water. I think you're going to be surprised by what it does. So the cool thing about this is when you're done, when it's dry and it unfolds, the colors are going to be a little different. And you can save it, and if you want to use it as an art project for something to do in the afternoon, it works just as well. So after letting this sit for about a minute or so, what we're going to do now is we're going to open it and look at how the color traveled. You see how that traveled? Like, we started at just a little dot, but because water likes to travel up, it created this really cool pattern and moved the colors. Again, once this is totally dry, it makes a nice little art project. It'll probably take about an hour to dry if you leave it out on a piece of paper, on a plate, whatever you want to do. So this is our first experiment. This is showing us how water can actually travel against gravity. What we're going to do now is we're going to see the kind of shapes water can make when we put it on a small surface, how water really likes to stick together. So please stay tuned and get ready for our next experiment. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to do a brief experiment to see how water can make cool shapes when it's in small quantities. So we're going to start off, we have our pipette here, or our water dropper. We have all the same materials except for we swapped out that coffee filter with a penny here. So what we're going to do is we're going to see what happens when we add small drops of water to this penny. And water, as we were saying before, likes to defy gravity or kind of do its own thing. It also likes to stick together. It's called tension. And that tension between those little water molecules is pretty strong, those little water pieces. They can hold quite a bit of weight. You'll actually see this in a minute as we get there. Get that bubble out of there if we can. There we go. So as we're adding water to this, it's doing something cool, and we'll look at it in a second. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our camera and bring it around real quick. So we're going to change the angle of our camera. As you can see, it's making a bubble. So that's because that water likes to hold on together, and you can see it jiggling a little bit, and it still doesn't pop. That's because the things that hold water together, those little molecules, are really strong. But if the bubble gets too big, if it gets too heavy, let's watch what happens. It collapses. It just can't support that weight. So we did 2 experiments, and we'll wrap up in just a moment, but I want to show you real quick, just in case you're not familiar with how to use one of these water droppers, how to use it. So I'm going to bring the camera back over onto our little stand, over our water here. And all you need to do is with your pipette, let's bring the camera, there we go. So with your pipette, you're going to put it in the water, squeeze. See those bubbles coming out? Inhale, or not inhale, but let go, and you're good to go. And to get it drop a little bit, one at a time, you just squeeze very lightly. Like that. All right, everybody, I hope you all had fun learning a little bit more about water as hydroscientists, where we figured out that water is sticky, it likes to stick together, as well as it likes to defy gravity. It kind of likes to climb things to get to other pieces of other bits of water. So before we go, I just wanted to let you folks know that we do have an online resource guide for this program, Hydroscience. It's at hanfordmills.org. You'll have access to it as well as instructions for the activities we did. We hope this resource was useful to you, and until we see you again, we hope you folks stay healthy. Take care.